All right, so I just got off 2 calls today. My one-on-one coaching group, I finished up with these 5 clients for the past 3 to 4 months. They are all going to their event or school, or they have reached their goal to where now they can take control of their own training. I've taught them the methods and the techniques that I wanted to teach them the past 3 or 4 months, and so now they are off. And I just had 2 calls because I just opened up my group again for the next 5. And, you know, one of the things I wanted to come on here and share with you guys about what we talked about was how you cannot let anybody stop you from going to do what you're doing, especially when you are not your own boss, or you don't get to make up your own schedule and things like this. And here was the example. This dude wants to go to Special Forces selection. He's in the conventional army right now, and he's about to PCS, which is he's about to move from one base to the next base. And I was telling him that, hey, when you usually PCS to or move to another base, your command, your leadership is going to want to hold on to you, especially if you're a squared away dude, for as long as they possibly can. And I remember that happening to me. I got to the 82nd Airborne in 2014 around like August, September timeframe. And my platoon sergeant, you know, somebody that is in charge of me, came in and he's like, who wants to go to Ranger School? I'm just in E2, a private. And I was the only one that raised my hand. Nobody else wanted to go. Why? I have no idea, other than just like not having the courage to do it and being a pussy, to be honest with you. But from what I had known, Ranger School was the hardest thing that you could, you know, sign yourself up and volunteer to do at that time, at that stage of, you know, the military. And so, and the Army specifically. And I didn't have a good enough test score, like an ASVAB score, to go to Ranger selection, which is RASP, or to Green Beret selection, which is Special Forces selection. So I knew that the only really hard-ass thing that I could do besides, you know, stay content where I was at was to go to Ranger School. So I went to pre-Ranger in the summer the next year, so I got all trained up for it, got my whole packing list ready to go. I spent literally all of my money making as a private to buy that whole packing list for Ranger School. So I went to pre-Ranger, and there was 107 dudes that started, and only 4 of us finished and got our tickets to go to Ranger School. Only 4 of us. That was a huge wake-up call for me. So I go to Ranger School, and I graduate in class 1015. So I had just enlisted in the Army and just been through basic training and all that the year prior. I had very, very little experience, and I cannot tell you how many people were rooting for me to fail. As messed up as that sounds, that is the reality of it. Nobody wants to see me at that point, go and do something that they were too scared to even attempt to or even try. So I use that as fuel though. I don't let that shit, you know, you can doubt me all you want. People can doubt you all they want. And that should not be a reason why you don't go attempt something and give it 110% effort and just go after it. All right, do not let those people that doubt themselves and have insecurities about themselves make you develop insecurities and develop doubt. That has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with that person and them that are having those problems within themselves. That does not have to be, you know, what your book tells, and that's not the way that your story has to be written. So I go to Ranger School. I recycled in mountains because I literally needed it. I'm not that type of dude, and I never believe most of the people like, oh, I got fucked and, you know, this happened. No, whatever, man, you failed. It is what it is. You know, I have much more respect for you if you just say that. But I got through the first phase. There's 3 phases. There's the Darby phase in Fort Benning, Georgia, and then you go down to Mountain phase, which is in Dahlonega, Georgia, and then you go down to Swamp phase, which is down in Florida, in Destin, Florida. So in the second phase in Dahlonega, I I did not know what I was doing. And there was something that happened in my personal life that I had gotten told in the 8-hour pass, and it mentally just screwed with me. It was a tragic loss, and I had two options at that point, whether to go down to phase 2 or, go home and kind of just like feel bad for myself and feel bad for the situation. But I chose to go on, and I'm glad that I did. But in the moment, at that time, my mentality was all over the place. So I went into the second phase not mentally right, and I was stepping into something that was going to be way more complex. In the first phase, you're only doing like squad patrols, which is like, 12 to 16 man teams and things like that. It's very easily, you're only controlling a little amount of dudes in the grand scheme of things. Once you get to second and third phase, now you could potentially be in charge of 40 to 50 guys. And they're not guys that are, have 4 meals a day, 8 hours of sleep. These are dudes that are getting 2 meals a day and maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. And all day and all night, we're carrying 90 to 100 pound rucksacks, running missions, things like that. And so people are just dog shit tired, okay? So, I'm trying to take in this instruction before we go out and do our graded patrols and stuff like that, and my mind is just, it's elsewhere. And so I'm not paying attention, I'm not learning. I was feeling bad for myself, and I paid the price for it because I screwed up on my 2 graded patrols because I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention during the classes. I wasn't, getting my reps in and asking the questions that I needed to, and it bit me in the ass, and I paid for it. So I failed my 2 patrols in mountains, and we had which is the second phase, and then we had a week break in between. It was like 7 to 10 days in between that next class starting when I got recycled. During that 7 to 10 days, I reached out for guidance because I had accepted what had happened in my personal life, and I was fully committed and focused of being at Ranger School now. So I learned everything that I needed to learn, and I asked all the questions with the cadre. We had one cadre during the holdover period he was awesome, man. He helped me out so much. And he was able to break it down to dummy proof to where I was able to understand, how to control a 40, 50 man, size element in the woods when everybody's tired and hungry, right? I learned how to do all that. And so I go back after the holdover period, you stay there. And so every day you're doing like, just dumb duties and things like that, cleaning up the place, area beautification, getting ready for the next class to come in. So get to the next class, they roll in, and I get graded one time and got my go. I was a platoon sergeant at the time. I'm just a private, right? I'm just an E2, 6 to 8 months in the Army before actually getting into Ranger School, and very, very little experience. But the next phase, going down to Florida, so I passed mountains with that one look at platoon sergeant. Then I go down to Florida and get one look there as platoon sergeant, get my go, and passed it, got my Ranger tab, show back up to my unit, get promoted to E3 right away, and then 4 to 6 months later, get promoted to E4. So at that time, you couldn't go to Special Forces selection unless you were an E4 or above, coming from the regular Army, and you had to be 21 years old. So I was only 20 years old when I got back my Ranger tab. I didn't have the rank that I could do, and the biggest thing was that I did not have a GT score, which is coming from the ASVAB test, high enough in order to go to Special Operations. So I get back from Ranger School, I figure out how I can retake the ASVAB, and I had to take a month-long course called the SFAS class up at Bragg to study everything that I needed to do with teachers. Like, that was my place of duty, was going to this classroom hallway place where they're teaching us math and vocabulary. I felt like I was back in school again. And I'm not a student person when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's fucking boring to me, right? So, but I took it serious for that month long, and I was fully locked into it. I was meal prepping, I was hitting my gym time in the morning, and then I was going home and I was studying, and it was just on this repeated cycle for the next month. And I was fully locked into making sure that I could get a GT score, because I'm about to turn 21. I'm ready to go. So let's do this. Retake my score, retake my test. I get a 112 and you needed a 110. So check that off the list. Now we're ready to go. And as soon as I got back to my unit, man, I'm like, all right, I got my score. I'm going to go to selection. That's when the problems started to come from all these people that were around me, my leadership. Not all of them, but majority of them were just like, trying to do everything and anything that they possibly could to make me stay in the 82nd Airborne. And I'm not talking trash about them, because these are just individuals that make things hard. That does not mean that everybody and everybody's experience is going to be the same way. There are great leaders out there. There are great chain of commands that are awesome out there. I've seen the good and I've seen the bad too. But during my time in that moment, my leadership was not supportive whatsoever of me wanting to become a Green Beret. They looked at them as undisciplined, long-haired, like mainly undisciplined. That was like what they really focused on, thinking that you're better than everybody. And now that I've experienced being on a team and having a Green Beret and being a Green Beret, that is so far from the truth, man. We're just not so anal and uptight about, the stuff that doesn't really matter. But the things that do matter, man, we're absolutely squared away. So, but that whole time, and as they were hearing that I wanted to go to selection and go and, further my career at 21 years old, I was getting just shit on by, words. I was getting tasked to do these absolutely just ridiculous things, and they wanted to stop me from going when it all comes down to it. And again, that comes from insecurities and things like that from those people. So I've seen a lot of guys be intimidated by that and be, dictated on what they can and can't do and what they can and can't go accomplish. And I hate seeing that. I hate hearing about it. It's not, you never want to hold somebody back. And you as the individual, you can never let somebody hold you back if you truly, truly want to go accomplish something. And yeah, this is a great example for military and things like that, but there's a lot of civilians that can relate to this. I can relate to this with starting a business. When I started Alpha Country Training and Nutrition, dude, nobody thought that I could successfully start and run a business. Bro, they laughed at me. Everybody knew me for being an operator, being a military dude. Like, that was it. I joined the military when I just turned 19 years old, and before that I was playing sports, and that's all that anybody knew me for. That's all that I knew myself for, was being an athlete and then being in the military. But deep down inside, I knew that I could do this, and all I had to do was start, and I was going to figure it out. I didn't have the perfect plan. I still don't have the perfect plan. Every day, man, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out the whole owning a company and building a company and scaling and how to market and, how to make new products and business deals. And one of the big things that I'm learning right now is moving into this warehouse. Because we've been in business. In July, it'll be officially 4 years for Alpha Country being open, like as a registered LLC. And the first 2.5, 3 years, I was in my house running everything. I didn't have any lease agreement. I didn't have any thing that I'm having to deal with right now. I still don't even know the actual lingo of it. But getting into this lease, is a whole new level. When I got out of my house, I moved from Florida to North Carolina, and I got into a co-warehousing space. That's really just a sexy word of like paying rent on an apartment or a house. There's no really like attorneys needing to get involved or anything like that. It's simply just, hey, I'm gonna go here into this warehouse, and it's a co-warehousing space. Sign this rental agreement, and boom, you can move in. Don't be late on your payments. Well, this one, moving into a new warehouse on my own warehouse, it is attorneys are involved. There's a bunch of back and forth. There's these 90-page documents that you got to go through, and I've learned my lesson on that, to not just, sign the line and yep, here we go. No, I'm looking through every word. If I don't understand something, I'm asking questions, and it's been a huge learning process. But this is what I signed up for. This is what I want. This is the type of life that I want. I want to live a life that a lot of people are scared to do. There's only like less than 1% of business owners that actually succeed and even make it past the first couple years. And I'm doing it. Nobody gifted me with that. I just started, and now here I am figuring it out. And so, but again, nobody gave me the permission to go do this. Nobody said, yeah, Spencer, you will succeed in this. Like, you'll be good. It's the opposite of when you start. Nobody starts saying that until you start showing some success, and you start showing some, improvements, and showing that, oh, yeah, this dude, can do this. Then they want to start cheering you on and be your friend and all that stuff. But in the beginning, nobody wants to be in the mud with you. Nobody wants to be on your side fighting for you. And guess what? You don't need any of them. You need yourself. You need your mind. And if you have that in check, and you have all the confidence in yourself that you can go do it, not cockiness, but just confidence that, hey, no matter what goes down, there's going to be two things. I'm going to give it 110% effort every fucking day. And number two is that I will not quit. If you can have that mentality, and when I say do not quit, it does not mean quit for anything. Physically, no matter how painful it is, you don't quit. Mentally, all these outside things coming into your life, problems happening, trust me, I know about all of them. Death in the family, divorce, being sued, all this kind of stuff. You cannot let it stop you, because if you let it stop you, then they win. And if you can have that chip on your shoulder, if you can, use that, dark, negative energy that's coming towards you, and you just stiff arm it, and you just keep running and you keep going, dude, you can't be stopped. There's literally nothing that can stop you. If that, no matter what gets thrown at you, that you don't quit, you're literally, you're unstoppable, and you can achieve anything. So I just want to leave you guys with that, man. I'm just sitting here thinking about all this stuff. I'm working on the website right now, updating the product pages on the website. Just had 2 calls today. I got another call tomorrow. But these are always recurring kind of stories and questions and talks that I usually have with my guys. So I figure that a lot of you guys can relate to this as well. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna head out.